at the South Point studio. Here's Jeff Parles and Alex White.
Good morning. Welcome in. It is our Monday, which means it's your Tuesday here on Sports by the Book. We hope you had a good weekend. I'm Jeff Parles.
And I'm Alex White. Please make sure and comment if you're watching live and let us know what you think about our bets today and if you have any yourself.
And if you don't like them, we're sorry. I guess. You think, hey, look, the one good thing about the bets we give out, we would like you to follow us, but we don't get offended if you go the other way.
You can always fade. That's right.
It's your money. It's your money. So, big show today. Fun show today. Chris Fallica joins us. The Bear, always love checking in with him. The final day of round of 16 action in Euro, the final day of group stage in the Copa America. Bye-bye USA. Sorry, Team USA. Out again, along with Mexico before the knockout stage. And also, too, Wimbledon as well. College football. It's never too early to talk college football. We're into July. Not. It's July 2nd. Pretty crazy on that. All right, we can go with the starting five here right out of the gate. As always, that sound effect is so good. Love it. Love it so much. How about the Astros, who ended up with the most wins in the month of June? Depending on your book, you either did a dead heat or you won outright, depending on which book you bet it, especially out here in Nevada. 17 wins in the month of June for the Houston Astros. They look to stay red hot, but they're underdogs tonight, north of the border against Toronto. Of course, yesterday was Canada Day, which I didn't realize. The Jays losing to the Stros yesterday. So trying to pick it up for the whole country of Canada will be Jose Berrios today, Alex White. A minus 109 favorite at home with a total of 8.5.
Really not a very competitive game yesterday, 3-0, and then Toronto did have a home run, a single-run home run right there in the end to make it 3-1. But we'll see if we have a different result today. We'll break that down shortly. Number 2, NL Central, number 2 and number 3 going against each other. Kyle Gibson for the Cardinals against Mitch Keller, Pittsburgh's ace. Pirates minus 120 at home. Total staying strong at 8. Best number here at the South Point, minus 115, if you do like that under. Cardinals have a nice little trend, 42 and 33 to the under this year.
Cardinals also in division have played 12 out of their last 13 under in division. So it's been a,
Thank you for adding that, yeah.
For whatever reason, those NL Central games have gone way, way low. Good pitching matchup, too, with Keller on the bump. We don't think of him because all the eyes are on Mr. Mustache, Paul Skeens, there in Pittsburgh. Number 3, how about the Mets? They did their best to blow that game last night in the 10th, got a 6-run lead, gave 4 back. Winning run was at the dish. They still find a way. The Mets are tied for the most wins in the month of June in the National League with 16. Take on the Nats today. Sean Manaea tonight for the New York Mets. Hers will go, who has had a big struggle in his rookie campaign, will go for the Nats. We may have a play or two on that. Minus 145 on New York right now.
Honestly, the Mets just so hot offensively right now. So excited to talk about that one more in depth. Number 4, WNBA 4 on tap. Commissioner Cup rematch today. Minnesota Lynx versus New York Liberty. The Liberty, you're laying 6 if you like them in that one. Total in that one, 168. The Lynx, they are the league best against the spread. 13-5. That is 72% this year.
The game's actually at Barclays tonight, after last week was not at Barclays. Lynx, since winning the Commissioner Cup, shocking loss to Dallas, nearly lost to Chicago as well, but they found a way on Sunday, winning that game by 8 when it was all said and done. And then number 5, to the pitch we go. Romania and the Netherlands underway in Germany. The Dutch close a big favorite, 1.5, over $2 if you're laying it on a 3-way line, all available. I saw Romania as high as 8-1 in regulation, as high as plus 425 to just advance out of this round. So big underdogs today. The Romanians, not much of a shock there. And then the other, the late game is Austria and Turkey. Austria, about a minus 110 favored right now, depending on the shop that you're looking at. Favorites, 5 of 6 have gone through. But remember, different type of bets. England did not win in regulation, so those regulation bets didn't get home. And Portugal yesterday in penalty kicks, so those regulation bets did not get home either.
We'll keep an eye on that. Maybe you'll have some in-game for us.
I was so close to betting Romania this morning. I just couldn't quite bring myself to bet it. Yeah, I know I brought it up on the Euro knockout stage Sports by the Book special. I know I brought it up, but it just, in the end, at 8-1, I missed it. Sorry. Bad job by me, but we'll see how it all plays out. Again, the Dutch finished third in their group, but big favorites here against a group winner in that one in Germany. And that's your starting five here for today. July the 2nd. How about that? July the 2nd. Already halfway home in this 2024 season. Less than 2 months from now, we'll be talking about week 0 in college football, Alex White.
I was going to say how many days until football, because I figured you'd have the exact number for us.
I don't have the exact day. Ryan McCormick has the exact day because Frank asked me this on Punchlines last week. So we might have to do a little bit of mathematics here. But we're around the 70-day mark right now. I don't know if we punched into the 60s. I think we probably have on the NFL. We definitely have in the college football landscape. All right, let's do some baseball bets right out of the chute here. It's a big day for Alex White on the baseball card. Look at you. I look
for better or for worse, here we go.
Just, you might, for someone who has a third of the slate today, honestly, that's kind of the way I would look too. With the face I would make too. It was like, oh, I like so much. That's good, but scary at the same time on a baseball card. Let's start in Pittsburgh. Let's start there. Pirates and Cardinals. It's not one of the two massive rookies, but it's Mitch Keller, who, is kind of got under the radar because of Paul Skeens and Jared Jones coming on the scenes and being pretty darn good, to say the very least, right out of the gate. Minus 120 on Keller. Kyle Gibson goes for the Cardinals, who currently sit in the second wild card in the National League, the 5 seed. Plus 110 on St. Louis, and the under right now is at 8 for the full game. But Alex, we're looking to the first 5 on this one.
Yes, we are. I lean to the under in the full game as well. I think you still have some value there. I made it 7, but I'm going to go ahead and go with the first 5 here between these two. Righty versus righty, and the Cardinals have really struggled against right-handed pitchers this year. Their last 3 righty starters, 1.30 ERA. Mitch Keller, much better at home, even though his numbers for the year are still really good. 3.20 ERA, 91 strikeouts, but even better at home. Pitched seven innings against the Reds, had 7 shutout innings, 6 shutout innings against the Twins, even with 9 base runners, still managed to get out of there with just 1 ER. And 1 earned run against the Braves. So I really like this under between these two. The Pirates have a lot to be excited about on the mound, not so much offensively right now, still struggling at the plate. So I think this is a great spot to go under between these two.
I'm happy you brought that last point up, because you just look at the pitching numbers, you would assume that Pittsburgh is honestly ahead of St. Louis right now and probably sitting nicely in that second wild card. They have had some bullpen issues, but the starters have been tremendous over the last month. A top 5 ERA for their starters in the National League in the month of June. They've just pitched very well at the front of games. The back ends have been the issues here for Pittsburgh. And as you said, the lack of run scoring has been a disaster. Pirates entering today, only 1 behind the Padres in the loss column, but 2 games out as a whole, just because the Padres have played a bunch of extra games. But you look at it here, Alex, just throwing this out with the Cardinals. You just look at St. Louis's numbers. They pitched, to me, way above their heads. I think there's a lot of guys in a rotation. Michaelis, Gibson going today, Lance Lynn. There are guys who they're pitching better than their under the radar numbers are. Their FIPS. You're going to, at some point, see regression to the mean just in their actual regular ERA numbers, because their back-end stats are showing a little bit of cracks in the armor there. I would only lean to a Cardinal team total under in this game, because even though the Cardinals have been winning, just look at the way they've been winning here, Alex.
So 3.5, you're actually getting plus money with the under.
Yeah,
I
would love to find a 4 somewhere, but most books won't have 4s. They're going to be wanting to be on a half number, so we're not refunding until the cows come home, Alex. But look, the way that St. Louis has won. I mean, just look at this past weekend against Cincinnati. The 2 games that they lose are the higher scoring games of the weekend. The 2 games they won combined 3-0. The games they won against Atlanta, 4-3, 4-1. I mean, other than the game in Birmingham and the game right after that, they're not scoring runs when they win. They have to win by low scoring. So I think I guess that kind of is a lean to Pittsburgh on top of that, but I would still lean to an under on a team total for St. Louis today. I think your play is stronger. First 5 under. You're more confident than I am in my play. But I would look to St. Louis under, which I guess gravitates us all to unders unless we think Pittsburgh's going to have a big night offensively, which I don't think is the case.
That's right. I think any way you want to play it with those unders, I think that is great with the Cardinals. Also, maybe Pittsburgh in the first 5, because really it is a pitching advantage with Mitch Keller. And Kyle Gibson, he has been better on the road, but it's still pretty significant between the two.
Let's go to D.C. Mets and Nats. Mets entering the day, a game and a half out in the wild card behind actually technically St. Louis right now. Padres half game in front, even though that's all jumbled right now because Padres have played 88 games so far this year. St. Louis and the Mets have only played 82 and 83 and 82 respectively. So a lot of games at hand for the Mets and the Cardinals through the remaining part of the season. Thank you, better weather in San Diego with no rainouts there, Alex White. But you look at this one today for the Mets and the Nats. It's Manaea and Hers, a pair of lefties. Last night, the Mets almost blew a gigantic lead in the 10th. The Mets bullpen is shattered right now. That would be the only concern that I would look at here. But Hers has just gotten lit up, giving up more than 6 earned runs in each of his last 2 starts.
I agree, and that's why I'm going with the Mets in the first 5. It's almost the same price, so it's minus 140, but Sean Manaea has been very good for them. Mets have been the best offensive team in the last 30 days, and they have been really good against lefties. So now they're facing this rookie. You mentioned it, DJ Hertz has been struggling, and he actually, his first home start June 4th was against the Mets. They had 9 base runners, 4 earned runs in just 4 innings pitched. So feel pretty confident with them being able to hit him pretty good again in his start. So Mets minus 140, first 5 innings for me. And the bullpen should be fine, right? Once they get...
So Diaz's suspension, I have to do some math real quick. It's 10 games. They played 6 since the suspension. So he comes back over the weekend in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
But at least for the time being, again, the Met bullpen is running on fumes. We saw it over the weekend against Houston where the bullpen blew both of the games. Houston ended up winning. I think a nice fruit basket for the Met bullpen for anyone who had the Astros in June for the most wins should probably be in order. But, it's just there's just not a lot of major league arms left. And they had to go to Reed Garrett in a game they were leading by 6 going to the bottom of the 10th last night. It was one of the few major league arms left out there. It's tough go. I like your play. I would I think that's, if I'm betting anything here, that's the way I would look. I'm 100% in agreement of taking the Mets while Manaea is on the bump, not bothering with that bullpen that is basically put the lighter fluid on the fire already. But it's just the way it's going to be for the Mets for the next few days while they're waiting for Diaz to get back. They also, Alex, don't have an off day until after the All-Star, until the All-Star break begins. So they're going straight through the next 10 days without an off day on top of it with a bullpen that's overworked and lousy at the moment.
So you do have to look out for the lineup and see which guys will be taking games off through there. But the Nationals are also a team I haven't really figured out. You think they're getting really hot and doing really well. This team's only 17-20 at home this year and still under 500 for the season. So it's hard to bet against the Mets right now. But as you mentioned, bullpen kind of worries me. So
yeah, I think Washington at this point. You remember we talked with Sammy P a few weeks ago. Hey, why are the Nats 18-1 when they're a half game out of the wild card to make the postseason? Yeah, the number probably was right in retrospect. This team is, again, their big prospect James Wood came up yesterday for his major league debut. We know C.J. Abrams is one of the good young shortstops in Major League Baseball at this point. But look, again, credit to them. This was a team with a super, super low win total in the mid 60s, and this is a team that more likely than not is probably going to go over that win total, unless if the wheels come off, which hey, it could for a team. Plenty of ball to be played left in this season. All right, let's keep rolling. We mentioned the Astros in the get-go. Astros, best record in June, started July off with a win as well. They're taking on Toronto. Agaretti against Berrios tonight. Berrios a minus 109 favorite, 8.5 full game, Alex. But first 5s have been your mojo today. 4.5 on the total here. Which way are we looking?
Going with another under here. Barrios, his numbers, they're not even bad. 3.38 ERA, 76 strikeouts. He's 7-6 on the year. But if you really look at the gauntlet that he has gone through, his numbers have been trending down because he's had the Orioles, Milwaukee, Cleveland twice, and the Yankees. So, I mean, he has just had a really tough go. And then, of course, now he has the Astros, who their lineup has been much better. But I think this is a buy low spot for him. Instead of going with the Blue Jays and really fading the Astros, I'm going to depend on Spencer Arrighetti, he's very hot and cold as well. But I mean, the Blue Jays aren't really hitting either. So I think with all that combined, I think we can stay under that 4.5 in the first 5.
This is just one of those where we're going to have to avoid long balls because Barrios, as we know, gives up homers. Has been his kryptonite his whole career. So you keep the ball in the ballpark, I think you're in pretty good shape here. The big problem would obviously be load him up early.
Right.
You'd be sweating pretty profusely early in that game, but that would be the way. Again, I don't have this one I'm steering clear of completely. Toronto, as we've talked about, they are infuriating this year. There's too much talent on this team to be this mediocre, and they are the worst team in the AL East. They probably will sell at the deadline. This has just not been a good year for the Jays so far here through the first 3 months of 24. Let's go to the Bronx. How about this? The Yankees and the Reds. This is a 1976 World Series, right, Keith? Reds and Yankees. That sounds about right. Keith Lyles, our in-studio audience today, by the way, folks. Ashcraft and Hill. Again, Hill coming off of just getting beat up by the Mets in his last outing. 4.5 first 5. Full game is 8.5. Alex, you're looking to the full game total here.
Finally, I have an over. I am going over 8.5 with these two. Righty versus righty. Reds have been very good against right-handed pitchers, and you mentioned it about Heel. I mean, he started really strong. Now he's been struggling as of late. Tough last 3 starts. Boston really got to him. Orioles, 10 base runners, 7 earned runners in less than 2 innings. Ooh. And the Mets, 4 hits, 4 walks. And that was less than 5 innings, too. So, and then Ashcraft, last 4 games, not great in his starts either. He is trending in the wrong direction. So, I know I'm depending on the Yankees to really get their offense going, but Aaron Judge has still been hitting well. I mean, and Soto. So, I think that they'll be able to get this going enough. And as I mentioned, the Reds have been very good against righties.
Reds offense, like you said, good against righties. Ellie De La Cruz much better from the left side than the right side. I think that's a huge component of it where he's, I don't want to even say he's mediocre from the right side because I don't think that's fair. He's just had a lot more reps from the left side and he's been a highly productive player. I just want to go with Elise Heel real quick, Alex.
Yes.
You want to have fun with math real quick? 33 1/3 innings in his career before this year. That's 21, 1 start in 22 before getting hurt, missed all last year with an injury. He's thrown 85 2/3 so far this year. So after tonight, he's going to basically be close to triple the amount of innings he had thrown in his career in the major league level to what he's done so far this year. I think there's going to be some opportunities to take some shots against Heel. I don't know if it's tonight, but there are going to be some opportunities with him starting to show some cracks of a guy who may not be sound because he's throwing more innings than he ever has before.
From a manager's standpoint, do they have to start monitoring that and maybe put him on more of a pitch count? Because
it's a good question.
That's a significant
it's a good question.
Increase in a year.
So Boone didn't really say much when he was asked the question last week. He was on with John Boy Media. They do a great job out of New York. They always have Boone once a week. He kind of deflected more so than anything. Is it the classic, you're always conscious of like that sort of coach speak nonsense. So I think
Boone is usually more
coach speak.
I mean, he'll take people out more than others,
well,
right?
He gets very angry at umpires. I'll give him that.
Yes, that we know.
It's hit or miss. It's hit or miss with Boone. I think with the media, it is a little tongue in cheek sometimes with the media. But we'll see. That's not a normal media setting, that podcast he's on. Those guys are, even though they're really good at their jobs, it's a very casual setting more so than anything. All right, let's get to your WNBA picks here real quick, Alex White. I know you don't have a play on this, but I just want to bring up the Commissioner Cup rematch real quick because it is a huge game. Minnesota goes back to Brooklyn as opposed to Belmont to take on the Liberty. 5.5, 167. Again, I know you don't have a play, but I do see some fives in the market right now in New York. If you can find 5, lay it. This feels like, I know you love your good revenge spot, Alex White.
I love my revenge spot.
But at 5.5, probably not. 5? Yeah, I'm good with going with it with New York here at home against Minnesota.
My numbers say it. They really do, especially adding in that revenge. But I'm nervous because I was on the Liberty for the Commissioner Cup, and that was a revenge spot. So now Minnesota's beaten them 2 in a row. But you did bring up a good point. We are seeing a little bit of cracks now. I mean, they almost lost that one against the Sky, hung in there, and they did lose the one before, which in hindsight, I bet that the wrong way. That was a total just fade from Minnesota after winning the Commissioner Cup.
Just a perfect, like the prototypical letdown in retrospect in that game.
And lack
Dallas.
of defense, really. Yeah. They just were like,
hey, we won a trophy. We can take a day off.
Exactly.
Going to tonight, they're at T-Mobile Arena tonight. The Vegas Aces hosting the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark. Second trip for the Fever here to Vegas this year. Huge number, 13.5. There's even some 14 out there. And Alex, I'll say it again. What a shocker. The bettors are taking it over from 175 to 178 behind, 78.5 behind us. We even have 179s out there. Alex, is this just too high now at 179?
Yeah, I think so. It is. Even though these are my 2 favorite over teams. I mean, the Fever love to run. They can really keep up with teams. But I'm going to give Keith a new job, and he's going to have to remind me to send out some tweets because we were talking before the show. I mean, I can usually feel where these totals are going to move. Like I saw this at 174 last night. Like this has moved up like 5 points and the next game as well. So, Keith, you got to remind me to send out some tweets. If you like this over, we have to take it now because we can't talk about it the next day. But I do like the favorite in this one. I just think this is such a huge mismatch. And these two have already played. The Aces 199 to 80. That's a nice 19-point win there. I know it's
a nice
scary.
Over as well.
13.5. But this is the defending champs playing this new rookie that all the attention is on. They're not going to go lightly, and they are in a big T-Mobile arena. Fever
are playing significantly better than they were in the first matchup.
Yes.
7 wins in the month of June. I think pretty clearly have taken that vault to being the team that we think will probably end up with the 8th seed in the WNBA playoffs. It'll probably be between them and Chicago. But I see that over, and I still am like, this is probably if the shooting's not a little messy because they're playing in a different venue, but I don't think the sight lines will play much of a role. I still kind of want to do it, even though it's so we'll probably have to wait in game, see if we get a slow start.
Yeah.
But I still think we're playing in the 180s tonight, Alex. I really do.
I think you'll have an opportunity to. I mean, the Aces, we have seen that from them this year, a little bit of slower start. So there may be an opportunity to get a better number for the over.
One last one we're going to look at here in L.A. The Sparks and the Mystics.
We missed this one, too.
Is this total too high now?
This total has moved up too high now.
So 161.5 to 163.5. You bet 161.5
I
over?
did.
Okay. So again, this is another one where, again, with these WNBA totals, because the markets they just love betting these games over. So if you like an over, you have to get to it early or else you're just going to miss it. That's our lesson of the day on these games here, Alex.
No, it's true. And there's sharp bettors, professional bettors that have been betting the WNBA for a long time, way before it's been this much in the media. So they will definitely bet the overnight number. So you got to jump in quickly.
All right, let's take a quick break and we get back. Chris Fallica, the Bear from the road, will join us when we get back, talking some Euros, some college football, maybe even some tennis mixed in there. Chris Fallica joins us next. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rock and dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grand View Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show. Every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grandview Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grandview Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Again, Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Jeff Parles, Alex White here as always. By the way, quick update in Germany. The Dutch have grabbed an early 1-0 lead on Romania. Again, the Netherlands closing over a nearly $3 favorite in this one, 1-0 on the Cody Gakpo goal. It was an unbelievable one at that. Now joining us, of course, Bear Bets podcast at Fox Sports. Of course, you know him as the Bear, our good friend, Chris Fallica with us right now. Bear, good morning. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning. Yeah, good to join you. Just watching. What a great morning with the Euros going on, tennis and Wimbledon going on as well. Then later this afternoon, Copa America, the final group stage match. So, what a great sports day.
It's always fun when when sports in Europe are in full swing. It's great out here too, as long as the games aren't starting at 5 a.m. Once we get to 6, we're good. 5 is still a little bit early. Chris, I just want to hit the game today, the late one, before we get into who's left in this field, because we had a fun discussion off the air about it that we'll bring to air. Austria, who was a surprise to say the very least, winning their group in a group with France and this Dutch team that's playing right now. Austria is a -110 favorite on the 3-way lines and laying a half a goal on those goal lines that are out there. And they take on Turkey, who was fortunate, to say the very least, to finish second in their group and still in this thing. Do you have any thoughts on this one? Again, this is the final match of the round of 16.
I do. I'm a little bit contrarian here on the Austria had been great, but it would not surprise. I'm willing to take a chance here on Turkey to advance at +195. I mean, they have players who can score with Arda Güler and some other players, Yildiz in the lineup. They do have a key suspension, though, with yellow cards, but I'm not opposed to taking Turkey to advance at +195. The 2 bets that I really like in the match are both teams to score, -145. We know Austria. It's go forward with Sabitzer and all the attacking power that they have, Baumgartner, and go. But they do expose themselves in the back as well, just like Turkey do as well. So the both teams to score at +145 is my top bet in this match. And I am not opposed to looking at the under 5.5 cards in the match either. I know that both teams do tend to pick up a lot of cards, but with guys sitting on yellows, I think it might be a little bit more cautious. And the referee in the match, Arthur Suarez Diaz, in the 2 matches he's officiated so far, you've had just 1 yellow card in the first match he called, 3 yellow cards in the second match he called. So I don't think we're going to see a ton of cards in this game. So if you had to rank my order of plays in this match, I would go both teams to score, under cards, and then Turkey to advance.
Chris, just sticking with games today, we're going to move to Copa America really quick. We have 2 games today, but this Group D is undecided. Is there anything you like in Copa America today?
Yes, yeah, I like Colombia. Colombia on the double chance. I saw Colombia or draw -110. Colombia are still not being treated and respected as one of the better teams in this tournament. If you look alone at the odds to win Copa America, like they are the 4th choice still in there, double the price of Brazil. Last time I looked to win this, and it's massive to win this group. You win the group, you get to play Panama in the quarterfinal. You lose, you have to play Uruguay, and then you're going to have to play whoever again tonight. You'll get a rematch of Colombia Brazil in the semifinal. So it is massive to get the win here in the group, get to play Panama in the quarterfinal. But this is the Colombia side that they're unbeaten in 25 straight. They've won 10 straight. If you look over the last dozen matches or so for Brazil, they've kept just 2 clean sheets. They have issues on defense and in the midfield. I like Colombia or draw at -110.
Colombia or draw, and as the Bears said, that is a brutal matchup that would be in Vegas for the second place finisher in that group against Uruguay, who knocked out.
Great match.
Oh, it'd be an incredible.
Wait, I might have to. I wonder if I can get that night off and maybe head to Vegas to watch that match. Because that'll be a banger, as they say.
Yeah, Saturday night, no less in Vegas for that one. Uruguay against the second place finisher. If Colombia wins tonight, a draw is good enough to win the group for Colombia too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, draw is good enough for Colombia. Brazil needs the outright win in order to win the group because of their day 1 draw against Costa Rica. All right, let's. I want to shift back because we know we'll get both of the quarterfinal thoughts here, Chris. Let's start with Euro though. We know 3 of the 4 matchups. Germany and Spain is the first one, and this is a match that's fit of the final and the quarterfinal, where you have the hosts who have looked. Again, this has been since winning in 2014. This has not been the same German team that we have been accustomed to be getting deep in these international tournaments. They, of course, missed the knockout stage of the last 2 World Cups. But here they are at home looking the part, a small dog against Spain, who by every measure has looked like the best team in this tournament so far.
Yeah, they certainly have. This is probably a match from a betting I have so many Spain futures right now. I mean, I'm going to have to try and figure this out. Maybe if I play a little Germany on the Germany to advance here just to kind of start working against that ticket or not. But to have Spain, Germany, and France, Portugal on that one side, all 4 of those teams clearly worthy of winning this competition. I don't have a play in the Spain-Germany match just yet. I will say the one quarterfinal or the two quarterfinal matches that I do like something in right now. I do like Switzerland to advance against England. It's around plus 195 or so, I think I saw. Look, there is no, outside of the ridiculous, it's coming home and hype train for England, there have not been there's nothing in this tournament to suggest that England are better than Switzerland. Vargas has been fantastic. Ndoye from Bologna has been fantastic. Shaka has been fantastic. They are. There's just, I think, perception like they are like a B-level European side. Like they're not up there with the Germanys and the Frances and the but they are really, really good. And I think finally they're starting to get a little bit of that respect. So the Swiss at plus money to advance is a play that I like. And if you look at the match between France and Portugal, I think those two teams could play like 900 minutes, and under 2.5 is going to be a great bet. Like seriously, France, and it's a shame because we think of France with all this attacking power with Mbappe and Giroud, in Griezmann, in Thuram, and all the players that they have, Chouamani. Like the good thing, at least if you're looking for goals in this match, is that Camavinga has to play now, being that Rabiot is on a yellow when he's out. That might help move them forward, but the way Didier Deschamps play, he's happy to defend, he's happy to absorb, he's happy to have N'Golo Kante control the ball. He's happy to ultimately just have this game be 0-0 in the second half and just wait for a breakdown, wait for a mistake, wait for an opportunity, and win 1-0. So under 2.5 in Portugal. France is the other play in the quarterfinal that I've made already. Hopefully by game time between Spain and Germany, I'll have something. I'm really looking forward to that because I do think ultimately the winner of that game will ultimately be the team that wins this competition.
I do agree. I do agree with you on that sentiment that the winner of that Germany-Spain game, France still has only scored, has still not scored from in play. No. 2 own goals and a PK. Again, I like what you said. They could play 900 minutes against Portugal, 2.5. I agree with you. With the way that at least under Martinez, the Portugal just the attack has not been there other than their beatdown of Turkey in the second match. But look, we'll see how it all plays out. Again, that match 2 days from now, just a fascinating one where Germany and Spain, to me, the two teams that should be the favorites to win this tournament, playing each other in the quarterfinals. We have one last soccer one before we shift gears here, Chris. Copa America, the 2 of the quarters are already set. Ecuador takes on Argentina. Of course, Messi missed the last game of group stage, but he's expected to be ready for this one. And then how about Canada? Only 2 CONCACAF, more likely than not, will get through. One of them is Panama, as we all expected. And the Canadians, after flaming out of the World Cup, do much better in this one. They get through. They'll take on Venezuela, who, to me, has been one of the better surprises of this tournament so far.
Yeah, Venezuela has had a really good qualifying run right now. So this, while it is a surprise, it shouldn't be a complete shock. If you looked at that group coming into the competition, Mexico's results coming into here were not good at all. So it was not a surprise to me. I actually had Mexico at plus 330 not to get out of the group. But Venezuela, they defend. If you go back, I think, over their last 16 matches, only once they've conceded 2 goals. They are really good on defense. They have a goalkeeper in Soto who I think is like 6'7". The wingspan that he has is amazing. Jonathan Arambu is someone who plays for Real Sociedad, a very good defensive-minded team in La Liga. So they are built really kind of to withstand the attack of the Uruguays, the Argentinas, the Brazils, all those attacking teams, and they are very content to just, again, sit and wait and know their keeper. They have a good keeper who's going to make saves. And look, I'm not going to sit here and say they're the best team out there. They did get a little bit of a break in that first group stage match where Inter Valencia got red carded and sent off, and they got to play a 10-man Ecuador for 70 minutes or so, and ultimately they broke through and came back from 1-0 down to win 2-1. But I would be looking at an under in that match. I'd be looking at a Canada team total under in that match. I believe still they've only scored 1 goal under Jesse Marsch in major competitions. So I think Venezuela Canada under 2.5, and then I'd look for maybe Venezuela to keep a clean sheet would be the way I'd attack that.
Let's go ahead and shift to college football. A lot of changes this year, conference changes, and then, of course, we're going to have the 12-team playoff. Has that changed your preseason prep? Have you been able to find any futures, whether win totals or maybe conferences, looking forward to this season?
I've made a couple of win total bets. One of them, the number is completely moved. So I hate even saying I hate being like the past poster guy. Like back in early May, I did play Syracuse over 6.5, and that number now is moved to 7. I think 7.5 even in some spots. But the one that's still out there that I've seen is UCLA under 5.5. I think the Bruins have an opportunity to be really bad this year. Unfortunately, I think they've lost so many key players from the defense and the lines of scrimmage, and going into now the Big Ten being kind of depleted up front on both sides of the ball, kind of an unsettled quarterback situation. Dante Moore left and other guys left, and I believe Garbers is back, but I'm not sure that's definitely a difference maker going into the Big Ten. They got a stretch early in the year where they have 3 brutal games in a row, and there's a chance you're sitting at 1-3 after 4 games, and before you even really get into the heart of Big Ten conference play and having to make those road trips across the country. So UCLA under 5.5 is a bet that I have made, and I would still bet it at that number. It was funny. I was joking with Chrissy the other day on Twitter. I know how much he loves getting suggestions onto prop bets to make, and I suggested I'd love to get a prop on the combined wins by USC and UCLA this year, because I would love to know what it is, because I would love to bet the under on that, because I think if people do a deep dive on USC's roster, I think they'd be a little bit surprised too at how poor the Trojans might be. But UCLA is the 1 win total that's still available out there that I play. And in terms of winning the national title or so, I still think it's Georgia and Ohio State are the 2 best teams. If there was a Georgia and Ohio State versus the field, I would take Georgia and Ohio State versus the field. I think the teams that you have after that, Oregon and Texas, are probably the 2 teams that most people would mention. The interesting thing, Alex, like you said, with the playoff and expansion in 12 teams, is that if those are the 4 teams people think are going to win, of those 4, 2 of them are going to have to play that 3rd game before the quarterfinals, because the conference champions get the automatic the bye. So you're going to have an ACC champion and a Big 12 champion who aren't as good as Oregon or Texas, assuming Oregon and Texas wind up not winning the leagues, that they're going to have to play the extra round. They'll be favored in that game. But I'm just curious to see how that pans out once the playoff gets set, with a really good team having to play an extra step to win the national title. It was funny. I was asked the other day too about like an opinion or a thought that's out there where I may not necessarily like agree with it, and I hate being like alumni pessimism here, but this talk about Miami just automatically, because they got Cam Ward and they had a good recruiting class and they had a portal where they brought in some other guys besides Ward at quarterback. Like the thought that Miami's just going to go out there now and be a 10-2 type team, maybe win the ACC, make the playoff. Like, I don't know. Like Miami's a team that's won 10 games in a season once in 20 years. So like we've heard this so often. Like, as an alum, I would love for my alma mater to be back and matter in the national stage. But I think that just this assumption that all because Florida State lost a bunch of guys and Clemson hasn't been the same, that we're just automatically putting them in the ACC championship game and thinking they're going to win the league and make the playoff. That's a dangerous proposition, even as easy as that schedule looks.
I'm with you on that. I still think that's Florida State's league to lose. Yet again, even with obviously changes at quarterback. But Chris, this 12-team playoff, obviously we know that one non-Power 4 team is going to be there, and I'm just curious, just looking through, and again, there are a bunch of odds to make the college football playoff out there, but they're actually all Power 4 teams that have odds up right now. I haven't seen anything on the non-Power 4, but when those odds eventually populate, what would be a team that you would potentially look at as the 12th team in that isn't one of the Power 4?
I would think Boise's obviously going to be the team that gets a majority of the looks, and I think they probably should. I haven't dove in to take a deeper dive on that yet, but that's a good prop. I like looking at that. I like to see who potentially it could be, but I think based on who's back and the way Boise finished last year, I would expect Boise to certainly be the favorite or near the top of the favorite list for to be that non-Power 4 team to get in.
Chris, before we let you go, of course they're underway in England at Wimbledon. What futures may you have played? Is there anything that hasn't started today, or you're looking at tomorrow, individual match-wise, that you may be looking at?
I would take a look if you in the bottom, like the bottom half of the bracket. I think, and unfortunately, the prices now are going to be a little bit muted because of the upsets there. But if you look at maybe Madison Keys to make the final, she's in Coco Gauff's quarter. I think she has an opportunity to make a run. And if you look at Q3 has been the quarter that's really been blowing up with Zheng Quinn Win losing, and some other players have lost there as well. Like Daria Kasatkina is someone who just won a warm-up tournament on grass. You could probably get her at a really nice number to reach the final. I think the quarter price is probably just completely gone and blown away now, but you could probably get still a decent price on Kasatkina to make the final. That's something that I played at 24-1 before the tournament. So you're probably not going to get 24-1, but if you can get a price on Kasatkina to make the final and maybe Maddie Keys to make the final, those would be a couple of things that I would potentially look at.
He's Chris Fallica, of course, the podcast Bear Bets with Fox Sports. Him and Jeff Schwartz and company as well, as always. Get him on the tweets as well, at Chris Fallica. Bear, pleasure as always. Thanks for being with us today.
Absolutely. I will. In a couple of weeks once this tournament wraps up and before our football meetings go, I'm going to head out there for a few days. Would love to hop in studio and join both of you.
You are always welcome. You are always welcome, Chris. Thank you for being with us. As always, Chris Fallica, everyone. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we get back, our NFL previews continue to the NFC West. In the desert we go. When we get back, Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
Once you've satisfied your hunger, get ready for more of the hottest casino games in Vegas. Our 24-hour, 30-table non-smoking poker room proudly hosts all the most popular poker games with a variety of betting limits. Visit the poker room for a schedule of daily tournaments. Whether you're going to hold 'em or fold 'em, the best place for poker is at South Point Casino. You'll notice that our craps tables are usually the loudest in the casino. If you've never played, join one of our free craps lessons to find out what makes this game so exciting. Check with the craps dealer for schedules and give it a roll. Bingo is also an exciting way to spend your time. We offer 7 sessions of bingo every day. Bingo! And each session includes a cash ball jackpot, 12 bingo games, a progressive double action game, and a $10,000 bonus coverall. Electronic units are available. If you haven't played bingo with us, give it a try today. Guests can also get in on the action at our one-of-a-kind race and sports books. 2 separate rooms designed to maximize your experience and comfort. Our sports book, with over 400 seats, puts you right in the middle of the action, 24 hours a day. The friendly ticket writers are happy to help, and it's conveniently located next to the famous Del Mar Deli, where you'll find supersized portions of delicious deli items like roast beef, pastrami, and Reuben sandwiches, or soups, salads, and pizza. Plus spectacular desserts fit for a king. And right next door is the race book. Over 150 seats, each with its own TV screen. There are 16 interactive player terminals, so you can bet right from your seat.
Welcome again. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Jeff Parles, Alex White. We're both here. Big thanks to the Bear, Chris Fallica, for hopping on with us. And Alex, it's week 3 for us, previewing the National Football League. I know that the football will come across in a second, but we have to dive right into the Arizona Cardinals as the NFC West is up this week. And, you know, Alex, I'll say this about Arizona a year ago. Say this about the Cardinals. There it is. Oh, there we go. Very good. The NFC West, ready to roll. Arizona last year was supposed to be going into the season one of the worst teams we've ever seen. No quarterback with Kyler Murray on the shelf, limited talent. Jonathan Gannon was, by many, considered the weakest hire of the head coaching carousel. Instead, Arizona was just your normal, pretty prototypical, average, mediocre football team, which they zoomed over to win totals, even though they won 4, because a lot of the win totals were 3.5. And here they are going into this year with a full year of Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
And actually, I think even almost as important of that, how about a full year of the rookie standout Marvin Harrison Jr., who was their biggest addition of the offseason? Jonah Williams comes up, fortifies the offensive line as well. They had Sean Murphy-Bunting in the secondary. But, Alex, this team is going to go how the Murray-Harrison Jr. combination goes. That will basically dictate if this team is a borderline playoff team or if this team is a 5-6 win team yet again.
I mean, what you're saying is correct, but a lot has to do with their defense more than anything. Because even last year, they were better than expected because they could score. They just really had a hard time stopping anybody. So as long as they made some adjustments and defensively are a lot better as well. Of course, Kyler Murray, there still is a lot of question marks with him and if he will be a successful quarterback in this league. Especially, we've seen the good and the bad from him, right? But, yeah. I mean, he's very mobile, and he definitely has an upside. So now having Marvin Harrison Jr., I think you're almost saying that's going to depend if they're good or great or elite almost.
I don't want to. I don't think. I think if everything goes right, they're maxing at 9. If everything goes right, maybe 10. If they get to 10 wins, you better have a ticket on Kyler Murray at 50-1 to win the MVP in your pocket. Because if that's the case, Murray might win the dang thing if they get to double digits somehow. Defense, you mentioned it. We only mentioned one pickup in Sean Murphy-Bunting there. Bilal Nichols, Justin Jones, Chrissy's Tunga, L.J. Collier on the defensive front. Linebacker-wise, Kazir White, Chris Barnes, Mac Wilson. Totally new linebacking core. Secondary, we already mentioned it. That was really to fortify that secondary with the corner position in Murphy Bunting, which was their best part of their team a year ago, was their secondary. They really struggled at the linebacker position. But this is a team, Alex. They have a last place schedule. By the way, Jonathan Gannon at 16-1 to win Coach of the Year is interesting as well. If you think the Cardinals are going to overachieve, he fits the profile.
Yes.
Where we talked about this last week, and we'll talk about it in this division. If the San Francisco 49ers win 14 games, Kyle Shanahan's not winning Coach of the Year because the Niners were supposed to be the best team in the NFC. If Arizona goes 9-8 and makes the playoffs, oh boy, that plus 330 to make the playoffs right there.
Right.
The lowest win total in this division as well. So, yeah, again, I'm not saying Arizona's going to be good. When I went through everything, they spit out the 6 wins, which is a 2-win improvement. But I feel like their ceiling is higher than a lot of teams with the lowest projected win total in their division. It's 6.5. So it's funny the way I'm talking about this with a team that I had projected to go under their win total, but they have high variance. If Kyler Murray is the Kyler Murray we saw when they made the playoffs a few years ago at the beginning of the year, remember they were the last undefeated team in the NFL just 3 short seasons ago, Alex. Not long ago. They could be a surprise. We're also going to learn a lot week 1 because they go on the road to Buffalo. If they somehow pull it upset as a touchdown underdog or play Buffalo tough, yeah, maybe this team is a little bit better like I think their higher variance can show.
It is very interesting. So they were in the median group. 19% of their offensive drives resulted in touchdowns.
Okay.
But only 24th in points per game at 19.4.
A lot of field goals.
6th best in red zone scoring at 62.8%. But very good offensive line, returning 4 or 5 starters. Ranked 2nd in yards per rush, 2nd in yards before contact per rush, and then 4th in total run yards. So, I mean, they do have a very high ceiling, especially adding a really good wide receiver there to increase those passing yards there. Defensively, though, as I mentioned, not very good. Dead last with the Commanders. 29% of their opponent drives resulted in touchdowns. 31st in scoring defense. 25th in yards allowed. So that is a big portion of this that they need to make improvements. We don't know for sure, right? It's a very new defense working together and a lot of new players.
Total turnover in the linebacking core back for this Arizona Cardinal team, as we brought up. I will say this, just looking at their schedule real quick, Alex, they do play 3. Now, granted, they play the Rams, who we'll get to in a few moments, and the Lions, who we both picked to win the NFC North, and then they get the Commanders. But that's 3 straight home games. Weird things early in the season can happen.
Very true.
Again, as we know, before a team knows that they're really bad, that was one thing with this Arizona team all year. Their effort was always A+. Jonathan Gannon had this team playing hard, even though they were overmatched. So, hey, look, you have your quarterback for the full season. Maybe they pop a shocking 9 and make the postseason. I don't think they will, but the variance with this team feels larger than any other team in this division, and quite frankly, maybe even the entire NFC.
That is such a good point, and that is why I do like Jonathan Gannon at that 16-1.
Okay.
I wish it was a little bit higher.
20
though,
would have
right?
been nice, right?
If I was getting 20 or 25-1, I probably would make a small bet on that. But you're right; they did play very hard for him, and those home games. I mean, we're talking about the Arizona Cardinals that beat the Dallas Cowboys, upset them in between weeks 1 and 3 last year. Remember? Then that was last year's.
That was week 3.
It was week 3.
Week 3. Remember, Arizona week 1 probably should have beat the Commanders. Late turnover, Commanders survived. Week 2, the Cardinals got that giant lead against, bad pun, against the Giants. And Daniel Jones' last good moment let him back. They won that game, of course. And then the Survivor chaos came with Dallas in week 3. Dallas was a 16.5-point favorite on the road and lost the game outright by double digits. So, look, was that you? Was that your pick that week?
It was.
Oh, I don't.
I didn't
remember.
It's okay. I brought it up, and that's how I can't forget.
That's why you brought it up, because like, hey, they got me in Survivor. I'm not going to forget that when looking at with them, especially at home early in the season. Again, with Survivor, we'll get into it when we get closer to the season. I very rarely will use road teams. Very rarely,
Yes.
in part because of that exact situation. You never know in this
Right.
league. Any given Sunday, all the cliches on that.
Yep.
All right. You know what? Let's hit the Rams here. We have a few minutes before we can get to our guy, Ryan McCormick. Because really, the whole thing with the Rams can really be put into one whole envelope here. How do you replace a Hall of Famer? And that's Aaron Donald, who, of course, decided to step away after a career where he was the best defensive player in the league for at least half a decade. He was going to Canton on the first ballot immediately. And that's it. In the offseason this year, we'll get to those in a minute, their win total, as you see, Alex, and this was a discussion before the show, Rams at 8.5 juiced over. I still think that's good. But this team that, again, had a little bit of a different look offensive line. They re-signed Kevin Dotson. They brought Jonah Jackson back. They actually had a first-round pick this year, drafted Jared Verse on the almost a whole decade without a first-round pick for the Rams. Verse going to help their pass rush. Trey White comes over from Buffalo. They really don't lose that much other than Donald. Granted, Donald is worth like 7 people potentially on that defense. You look on the right side of that screen, kind of a even bigger version of what we just said for Arizona. We saw it 2 years ago. Matthew Stafford got hurt and the season imploded. Matthew Stafford's been there 3 years. They've won the Super Bowl year 1. They made the playoffs last year and lost a coin flip game to Detroit, where if they win that game, who knows? They might have made it here to Las Vegas instead of the Niners. You never know. But as long as Matthew Stafford stays upright and healthy, there's no reason to think this team isn't going back to the playoffs, even with a difficult division and a difficult schedule yet again, just on the virtue of playing in the NFC West. And
to your point, you were talking about their win total. I do think going over that is okay, but you're laying money there. We talked about this off air. You can get plus money at some shops for the Rams to make the playoffs. I think that is probably the best bet if you do like this team and do think that they are going to be good again, which I know Aaron Donald, we are losing him, but Kobe Turner, going into his second year, he had a very good rookie year,
yep.
9 sacks. Their biggest thing, though, is how they are going to improve their secondary, because they were 13th best in rush yards per game last year, 21st in passing yards allowed per game. We know their offense is going to be just as good, if not better. They did. So Kyron Williams had an outstanding rookie year. Now they add Blake Corum, who I really like, think that will be a very good fit there. And then, of course, we saw what Puka Nacua did, 4th most receiving yards in the league as a rookie last year, and has his veteran Cooper Kupp. So offensively, we have no questions, really. It is the defense.
Yeah, again, the only offensive question is the health of Stafford. That's it. I mean, that's really the question. And you're right. And again, I just wonder with those numbers that you brought up, where they were really bad against the pass for the most part, they were better against the run. Without Donald, I wonder if those numbers flip a little bit.
Yeah.
I wonder if we see a much better passing defense this go around, but everything else takes a little bit of a step back, because when you lose Again, Aaron Donald's going in ballot 1. First time he's eligible 5 years from now, his head's going in the can. He's getting his bust. So,
Well, and it's a lot about the leadership.
sure,
and,
that too,
and
yeah.
what he brings in that side and getting all the players ready to go. I mean, we've seen it with a bunch of really good defensive players throughout the years.
Yeah, and guys who are not even on Aaron Donald, and the guys on, we've seen this with guys who are nowhere near as good as Aaron Donald as well.
Correct.
Again, that's just the thing more than anything. By the way, you saw it on your screen a little bit earlier, plus 105 to make the playoffs. Alex and I are in agreement on that. We think that's good. The Rams, to me, are kind of in that area with Dallas and Chicago.
Yep.
Again, if you like any other second team in the NFC South, they'd probably go with them. I think they're a click below Green Bay, who I see as the number 1 wild card in the NFC. But they're right there with everybody else in that wild card race. Real quick, the Niners, by the way, minus 225 to win this division. Rams plus 380. Seahawks 8-1. And the Arizona Cardinals 15-1. I don't like the Rams plus 380 because I think the gap is still too much between them and the Niners. It would take mass injury for the Niners to not win this division. Just too much talent. And now the fact that we know Purdy, can't argue it anymore. He's at a bare minimum, a good NFL starting quarterback. That's at the minimum at this point. It's hard to justify anyone but the Niners, but we'll get the Niners later this week, Alex.
I feel like I do have to bring up backup quarterbacks because
Please.
that's been my
Jimmy
thing.
Garoppolo.
We do have Jimmy Garoppolo,
Yeah.
who is not a bad backup quarterback by any means. So if Stafford is out for a game or two, he is more than capable. But still, I mean, I agree. I don't like laying that much on the 49ers because you don't know. It's a long season and there could be injuries. And the Rams could very well just win this division and the Niners still get into the playoffs.
Sure.
But I think it's their division.
Jimmy Garoppolo, by the way, just real quick, Garoppolo is suspended the first 2 games because of violating the NFL PED rules. There's some sort of handsome joke to be made in there, but my brain's not up for it. Keith probably can make it at some point. But he is suspended the first 2 games. So if Stafford gets hurt week 1, it could very easily be a rough outing in week 2. Third string quarterback for the LA Rams right now is someone by it's actually Stetson Bennett. That's right. I was going to say Dresser Wynn's also on the roster, whoever Dresser Wynn may be. I have no idea. It's almost like a fictitious name more so than anything. Desmond Ritter's the backup in Arizona now as well, because, of course, Kyler's been injury prone. Ritter, who have made it well known, do not think is an NFL quarterback. As a backup, maybe he's all right for a game or 2, but if he's got to be a long-term starter, forget it. Arizona then would probably be heading towards 3 or 4 wins like they did a year ago. As good of a story Josh Dobbs was, I'd rather probably be the same fate as it ended up being for Dobbs when it was all said and done. All right. I want to check in with our good friend, Ryan McCormick. Good morning. It's good to see you as always.
Great show.
Thank you very much. It's always a fun day. It's good Monday. It's July. It's going to be about 119 degrees later this week here. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, Ryan, of course, it's Tuesday.
That it is.
What you got here today on Punchlines at noon?
As the Tuesday staple, we'll have a top 5 Tuesday. We've also got Matt Neverett coming in the studio, play-by-play voice of the Aviators, former Sports by the Book guest. We also, to answer your question earlier in the show, 55 days from the college football season beginning and 65 days from the NFL season beginning.
Very good. Very good. So 10 days. We will be betting on some ridiculous Hawaii game in 55 days.
Yep.
Or 56 days, depending on where you live.
Right. Yep. And so, a bunch of good posts with punchlines talking about MLB, the ridiculous contracts in the NBA, some of the NHL movement. So tune in at noon.
Yeah, pretty rough go for VGK fans having to say goodbye to one of the originals, Jonathan Marchessault, signing along with Steven Stamkos,
Nashville.
with the Nashville Predators. Now, all I'll say is I know it hurts here in Vegas seeing Marchessault leave. Steven Stamkos in a non-Lightning jersey is going to look bizarre the first time that happens.
The whole reason that we didn't re-sign Marshy is because we were going to try and get Stamkos.
No, I saw
going to
Nashville got them both.
Yeah.
So, I did not see that.
That was they wanted to pay Stamkos the same contract that Nashville gave him, and Stamkos just, I don't know. I can't even say Stamkos is Canadian. I don't know. It's not.
Yeah.
no humidity out here, no state income tax out here, same
Yeah.
as Florida. But hey, what are you going to do?
Something about
on
that
that.
country environment.
Yeah. So that's coming up on Punchlines. All that fun at noon. Alex, we're back tomorrow. The Niners, we're looking at for sure. We maybe even work in the Seattle Seahawks tomorrow as well. Plenty of baseball, everything.
Yep.
Everything here. And we'll also also know the Euro and Copa America quarterfinals. I may have a play by tomorrow on both of those.
Very
So
good.
that'll be good.
And then short show Thursday, but we will have a packed baseball schedule
Yes.
for Thursday. So we may, like Jeff said, have 2 teams tomorrow in the NFL. So
Yes.
don't miss our show.
We are, because it is the 4th of July, we're here. Normal day for us, 9 a.m. because only 15 baseball games on the 4th. It'll be good to go to preview all 15 of them. Well, as many of the 15 as we can, or as many of the 15 as we can stand. 30 minutes might be the better way to put that. We're back tomorrow, Alex. Awesome show as always.
You as
and
well.
Drew Doug, Caden, Ryan, Keith. Good work as always. We'll see you again tomorrow. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.